Hey up internet and welcome to On the Sofa Live. If you're new, do subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay in the loop. This next story has been posted on Substack by History Can't Hide by Cahill Green. Trump's own side is demanding Vance use the 25th Amendment to remove him. He started the war MAGA swore would never happen. A founding editor of the American Conservative is calling on JD Vance to remove Trump from office as the bums falling on Iran shatter the No New Wars covenant MAGA was built on. So at least one conservative voice is calling for the 25th Amendment. So that's something at least. But it seems to be just one voice. But hopefully this will persuade other conservative voices to speak up and demand the 25th Amendment. But let's see what the article says. The article says this: Scott McConnell co-founded the American Conservative in 2002, alongside Pat Buchanan. For 2 decades, the magazine was intellectual home of the anti-interventionist right, the writers and editors who spent years arguing that the American empire would eventually turn on itself, that the neoconservatives were dangerous, that the people in charge didn't know what they were doing. So when McConnell posted on X this past Sunday, calling on Vice President JD Vance to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove Donald Trump from the presidency, the request carried a specific weight that Democratic calls for the same never could. My advice to Vance, McConnell wrote, announce your support of a 25th Amendment transition, appoint an anti-war Democrat as vice president, and do not run in 2028. Use your position to explain why this is necessary. Do not resign. So this is strong stuff from McConnell. Not only is he calling on JD Vance to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove Donald Trump, he's also calling on him to not resign, but instead explain to people why it's necessary that Trump should be removed, and also to appoint an anti-war Democrat as vice president. This is really strong stuff. And I really hope that MAGA pay attention to this. And I really hope that MAGA start to call for the 25th Amendment as well. And maybe, just maybe, JD Vance will listen. And maybe the Republicans will start to call for the 25th Amendment as well. Hopefully more and more Republican senators will start calling for the 25th Amendment, but time will tell. There's Scott McConnell there, apparently praising Trump in 2016. Read that again. A founding editor of the American Conservative calling on a Republican vice president to remove a Republican president because that president started a war conservatives had spent 20 years swearing they would never start again. That's quite powerful. That's powerful stuff. And this is true, isn't it? Donald Trump ran his campaign promising there would be no more wars, that he would put an end to the forever wars. But now he started a war in Iran, and it's gotten out of control. It's lasted a lot longer than he anticipated, and it's bitten off more than he can chew. And I really hope that MAGA are paying attention, because he's gone against what he was saying all along. And they should turn on him, really. They should be demanding that he resign, at the very least. The bombs started falling in late February. US and Israeli aircraft hit Iranian targets in coordinated strikes the Pentagon called limited and decisive. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth promised it wouldn't spiral into another endless war. Then Trump told reporters at a Medal of Honor ceremony, unprompted, "I don't get bored." Joe Kent resigned the same week. He had deployed to the Middle East 11 times and served as Trump's director of National Counterterrorism Center. In his resignation letter, then on Tucker Carlson's show, he argued Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States and that the decision to strike was driven less by American strategic interests than by Israeli pressure. Trump called him weak on security, but what Kent had done on camera in front of a MAGA audience was say what a growing fraction of the base was already thinking. This is why 77 million people voted for him, Kent said. The no new wars, put America first, don't let us bleed out in the Middle East. That's what people voted for. And there's a picture of Joe Kent, former director of the United States National Counterterrorism Center. In 2016, Trump had built part of his political identity by calling the Iraq War a big fat mistake at the Republican debate in a room full of people who have spent years pretending otherwise. His 2024 campaign leaned heavily on the fact that he hadn't started any wars in his first term. JD Vance reinforced the promise in a January 2023 Wall Street Journal endorsement, writing that Trump's entire political appeal was built against presidents who threw America into unwise wars. That credential was the deal. Iran broke it. The cracks were already there. The Iran war broke a structure that had been cracking for years. The Epstein files were supposed to be the swamp's unmasking. Over 4,500 pages dropped, and the names scattered across them, largely already known from previous public documents. The grotesque crimes of the elite remain half-lit. For a base promised a reckoning, the documents delivered confirmation of a different kind, that power protects itself regardless of who holds the Oval Office. And there's a picture of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not going to read the rest of that article because it's a long article, but you can read it for yourself on Substack. And I just want to reiterate that I think that this Iran war has just been a distraction from the Epstein files, but also I think a distraction from the fact that Donald Trump's popularity is going down. His popularity is down, is worse than it's ever been. It's really bad. It is really, really bad. And of course, he wants to distract us from that. And that is, in my opinion, one of the main reasons why he started this war. But let me know what you think in the comments. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. And please do me a favor and like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and do leave a comment because that would really help me out with the algorithm. Okay, bye for now.